I'm Miriam Joy and welcome to my studio. Today we're working on our bunny centerpiece, and this is a real fun one that I kind of got an idea for. And on this I use a lot of my broken gourds that I couldn't use for anything else to do this, but if you're not a gourd person, you can use your foam board or your thicker cardboard. Just use your hobby knife to cut it instead. And what I did was I found some cookie cutters, and they've got all the different sizes of the bunnies, so I got real excited about that. And they make great little templates for what I wanted, and these were by Wilton. And you always can find things online if you can't find it at your local store, your craft store as well. Now, if you're doing it with a gourd, and I only cleaned the area I was going to work on today, you want to make sure that it's a flat surface. You don't want it too curved. And you can see even these curve a little bit, and those were pretty flat gourds, so you want to keep them as straight up and down. You don't want to use a canteen gourd or anything like a bottle gourd that's really curved. So we've got this nice flat spot. We'll see if we can get a bigger one in here. And I just simply, you can take your pencil or whatever you want to, and then I turn this up just a little bit to make his ears. A little bit. Not quite as easy as the Miriam Joy templates. And diamonds are out, so make sure you get your diamonds today. And then you have your little bunny templates. And I made 4 different sizes, and the small ones I made 2 of them, so I have a total of 5 bunnies. And you can make as many as you want depending on whatever size base you're going to use. Now, I went to the hobby store, craft store, and I found a base. It was not that expensive. It was rather inexpensive. It was just a wooden base, and I had to paint it the yellow and the pink, and I used kind of a golden yellow to paint it. But also another piece that would be really fun is I found this at the Habitat for Humanity, and it was a top to a drawer. So it's basically already painted and everything for you. You could change the colors on it if you wanted to, but I think I paid 50 cents for that. So know that that's another option. You also could use the wood slices and do 3 bunnies, or just however many you wanted to do. The only concern is be careful when you get down to the smaller bunnies that you don't break their ears. They're a little bit easier to break when you can see how the ear just comes right off like that. I sanded just a little, not a whole lot, on my bunny, just around the edges and everything as well. And I wanted to make it just a little bit flatter, so I did just a little bit more sanding on the bottom to make it just a little flatter, not too much. Another thing you might be interested in is the little bunnies would make really, really cute Easter pants for Easter to give to somebody or to wear at Easter time. So know that you have that option as well. So there's a lot of fun things that you could do with this little project that we're going to show you today. So once you've got the bunnies all cut out, go ahead and base coat them with an ivory, because we're going to put some white right on top of that. So go ahead and base that, and we'll come on back. Once your ivory has dried, we're going to go ahead and use our scruffy brush. And if you have an old one that's scruffy, you can use it too. And we're going to, with our brush dry, walk into our white paint, and we're going to make our bunny look fluffy. We're going to put white on him. And you want to move your brush around. You don't want to keep it in the same area so that it doesn't have the same pattern. So it's going to give our bunny a little bit of texture here. And then we're going to switch to a smaller scruffy here, and we're going to pounce that pink again with a dry brush into his ears. not real heavy. Just the middle of his ears. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put a basic face on him. And we kind of want to think about where the eyes go, where his nose goes. And I used stones for his nose. I think it really added a lot of character. You also could use like fishing line for his whiskers or black wire or anything like that as well. Whatever you thought. In the noses, I did different sizes for the different bunnies. So I'm drawing his little bottoms of his eyes, beginning of his kind of cheeks. And we want to make sure that we keep them even. And then I'm going to draw straight up and around for his eye and try and do the same thing on the other side. I have a tendency to kind of come down a little bit. That guy's just a little bit high right there, so we'll move him just a little bit down. But this is whimsical. It doesn't have to be perfect. There is not a big deal if it isn't exactly. I'm going to bring his little mouth, his nose down and around. And then we're going to give him a couple of little teeth right there as well. Try and make these eyes even. Now I'm going to come in here, now we've got that, and we're going to pounce our cheek color and start to have it a little bit darker than I would like it to be. Sometimes you can pick it up a little bit. Start in the middle and work your way out. That way it fades out. And you want to try and make sure you have these even. So I'm going to darken this one up just a little bit in the middle. So now we have his cheeks. We're going to start by base coating his eyes. And I'm going to start with white. And I'm going to do the entire eye in white. And I find it's easier to hold it on the side like this and just take it up and around. And it's easier to do the whole eye than it is to do just the highlighted section. And that lays a nice base coat for the rest of your eye. So let's get those lines erased there so they don't show up. Remember, we're going to come over it with our black liner too, so that'll help cover up all of those. And if you think it needs another coat, then go ahead and put another coat on it. You're not so much worried about the right side as we are the left, and we're going to go ahead and put paint and our little teeth there as well. So we have it nice and whimsical. Now we're going to come back in with a kind of a medium blue. This is Copen blue. I like this blue for eyes. I think it's nice and sparkly. And I want to leave about a third of the white showing. And then we're just going to come over and meet the other side over there and just fill that in. All the way over. We're not worried about that side as much as we are that other side. And try and do it even over here. And nobody's going to worry about if you got it exactly perfect. So don't be afraid to just do it. And I am going to come back in and add a little bit more white right there. He needs a little bit more. Just a little bit higher right there. And let's finish up that blue. So now we're going to come in, we're going to do our black for the pupil. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to come in at the same distance as we did our blue from our white. Try and make sure you got those same on both sides. You want to make sure now that we have all the blue and the black covered up on that right side. And I needed just a little bit more white in here still. Okay. Now while that's drying, we're going to come in and we're going to float a little bit of a kind of a red on the ears just to bring them out just a little bit. Now I'm going to wet my brush and completely dry it out, and I'm going to be using some color float or blender. I'm going to put that in there, and I'm going to dip it into my red just partially, and I'm going to walk that out so it should go from a lot of paint to not much paint. If you need a little bit more detail in that, I do have a video that goes into a little bit more detail. Now we don't want this really, really bright, so we're going to kind of take this out just a little bit. But what we're doing is depthening the ears at the bottom so that they look like there's more down there. They go back further. And I'd actually like those a little bit lighter, but that's okay. Whatever you think works for you. And you can make it lighter by blending your color out more when you're walking it in the very beginning. Just trying to get rid of those harsh lines at the bottom there. Another thing we can do is come back in and stipple just a little bit of white over that bottom part right there, just so you don't see those lines stand out as much, and it sets that back in just a little bit better so that we've got that all nice now. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and float our brown. I did float a little bit of white right under the cheeks. You really can't see it too much, but if you need it, you can do that to highlight it right there. Kind of just bring that up. And then we're going to use our medium brown, and we're going to float all the way around the rabbit to give it its depth, so it doesn't look like it's such a flat piece. Brings it more to life, gives it more curvature. And I'm just going to start right here. Add that a little bit too watery. You don't need it very dark. And you will try not to be able to see where you stop and start when you float. So I'm going to bring that up. And then what I do is I do one side of the ear, this guy, and then I flip it so it's easier for me. So I'm always pulling it towards me. And see how that's giving him a little bit more character already. Now we're going to do this guy down and run into where we started. And we're going to bring back that guy. We're going to bring him down just a little bit there. Okay. And if your lines aren't smooth, let it dry and you can go back over it a little bit. But again, it's just a fun piece. It does not need to be perfect. Now I'm going to actually shade on top of the cheeks, and usually you shade under, but we're going to shade under the teeth. So it just helps give that fullness because we shaded up there. So we're going to kind of come, whoops, got some paint on the bottom there. So when your Q-tips come in handy. Pour a little bit of my float back out. Floating is so much easily mastered now that they have the blender. It's a really nice thing. So we're going to do his cheeks now, and then come up right in that middle, and then the other little cheek. Then I'm going to switch to a smaller brush. You can see that I'm using an angle brush. That's just what I was, when I was a total painting teacher, what we worked with and what we taught with. A flat brush is fine as well. It does not have to be an angle brush. It just seemed easier when we were teaching to have a longer end than the shorter end. So now we're going to go around those teeth to make those teeth pop out. And then we're also going to come around his eyes to make his eyes stand out. When you shade behind something, it makes it move forward. And I use this even in my patterns a lot. My wax design patterns, I use a lot of floating. And shading just means darker, and highlighting means lighter. Aren't these getting cute? They're really cute. And you can bring these down just a little bit right here to really set those cheeks even that much in front. So we're basically going to do our liner on him. We've got a lot of the work done. All we've got left to do is his eyes and his liner work all the way around. Now what I'm going to do with my liner work is I'm going to dip my brush into the water, and I'm going to pull the paint out until I get an ink consistency. You do not want it too watery. You want a nice ink consistency, and roll your liner brush around into it and pull that out. And I am going to start on his ears here, and I'm going to pull and do a cross hatch and pull. In the cross hatches, your lines can be varied in size. You can do 1 cross hatch, you can do 3 cross hatches. And I kind of did one down here, moved it up a little bit. And you can see how I'm also, don't get into your wet paint like I just did. If you have your piece, you can also bounce it with your little finger. Right now I've got my hand completely on the table, so I've got a nice secure area. I'm going to set my little pinky right there so I can get in there. If you wanted to do it with a marker instead of the liner, the only one that doesn't bleed is an Identipin. Otherwise, you could varnish it first and then you could put the black marker on top if you don't want to do the liner work with paint. If you haven't got a chance to try Martha Stewart's black, or her craft paint, that's what the black I'm using right now. It is one of my favorite paints. It is thick. It makes the coats go on really nice, and it doesn't take a lot, especially when I'm working with eyes. So we're just going to go all the way around the outside of our bunny. And if you didn't think it needed lined on the outside, don't line it. Okay. So now we're going to come in and we're going to line around the outside of his eyes. And try and get that nice and smooth where you meet. If you need to go down there to do that again, go down there. And I'm going to bring that up. Okay, so we've got that done. Now I'm going to do a little bit more pressure on these lines so I get a little bit thicker lines for his cheeks. And if you're not sure where his nose is going to go, bring his nose back in and test it. Make sure you have the lines met to the black. If there's a white showing or anything, go back and fill that in. Now we're going to make his little whiskers. And I did 3. You can do more than that if you feel it needs more than that. Think odd number when you're painting. You want the ends to kind of fade off. And I'm going to see if I've got my little red, and if I need to bring that in. Yeah, just a little bit on this side. I thought I did. Just a little bit short. So, now we're going to come right down from that nose. And we're going to make his little cheek and mouth lines. And if you have a way that you like painting rabbits or doing eyes or doing whatever, do it different. That's okay. I'm just trying to give you the basic idea and you build on it. Do his little teeth. You might want a red little mouth down here, which would be really cute too. Another thing that'd be cute is bows in their hair or different things like that. You could do that with ribbon or colored raffia or natural raffia. So just a bunch of different ideas. Call this piece the bunny patch. That's what its name should be. I couldn't think of what to call it. So now that we have that, we're going to come in and we're also going to put some little dots right there. That also helps fill up that area. That is called a pudmicle when you set your brush down, just like that. So now let's finish up his eyes, and we're just about done with him. You want to make sure your paint is nice and wet when you do the eyes. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set a dot down. And I'm using the end of a paintbrush that I know exactly what size that dot's going to be. Another thing you can do is kind of a hatching up there, kind of 8 or 6, and kind of put a star in it. And then you can put the dot down at the bottom. That gives them a sparkle. And then I'm going to put a little bit of reflection. And the reason we did the eyes both on the same side is you can see where he's looking. He's looking one direction. So he's not cross-eyed or anything like that. Now at this point in time, we're going to take him out and varnish him when we're done varnishing him and he's all nice and sturdy, we're going to glue our stone on with our E6000, which holds him into place, which is really a sturdy glue. And then we'll go ahead and put him on our base. But we're going to talk about a little bit about how we assembled our base. And I took my base and I got my grass, and I wanted some of the color to show through. And if I did it again, I might do purple or different colors, so don't get stuck in my colors. But I wanted some of this to show through, so I just put the grass kind of around. I took my hot glue gun and I had it all spread out and made sure I had it on high settings, and then I pressed it down to make it nice and flat as you can, because you want your bunnies to show. You don't want them to get lost in the grass. So press that down, do a section at a time all the way across till you have all of your grass on. And then what I did with my bunnies is I took my hot glue gun and I kind of looked through the grass and put it down at the bottom there, and then I put my hot glue gun there. Now, because these are so big, you almost need a brace, so I decided, why not the eggs? So I hot glue gunned my egg into place to hold up my bunny. Now on the bigger ones, I got into his little eyes there, they weren't quite dry yet. On the bigger ones, you can put that bunny straight sideways and he won't show, or if they're a little bit thinner, you can stand them straight up like that, but you have a great centerpiece, whether they see it from the front or behind, it doesn't really matter. I wanted to put little Easter eggs around, but I didn't have any at the time, so I thought the flowers would be really cute. So I picked these up. I believe there was 8 of these, 4 yellow, no, there was 10, and of the yellow and the pink at Dollar Tree, and you, as you can see, also put the wax on them. Now with glitter, anything glitter like this, I'm trying to get you guys into the habit of the first thing you want to do is spray varnish it with the gloss. That helps hold the glitter in place. And then I just simply took it after it was dry, cut the stick off, and one side had a little bit more nice glitter than the other side did. We have these new wonderful flat round stones, and I love them for things like this in stock right now, so get them while you can. And we're going to hot glue these on to the center of our flower just to make it that much more fun. And then you can place them here and there. I left one a little bit on a stick. I glued this guy on the stick but onto the bunny just a little bit. But then you have your wonderful bunny centerpiece. So that is our wonderfully fun little bunny patch, using our gourds that aren't good anymore or we can't do something with for something fun. It makes a great centerpiece for your Easter holidays. Come on over to our website, check out the little flat stones that we have or more of our fun products at miriamjoy.com. Have a blessed Easter.